Welcome into Missing the Point. It is, alas, sadly, the final power ranking show of this illustrious and wonderful NFL season. We're obviously sad that we're doing the last power ranking show, but it's weird to talk about football now that the obvious tragedy has occurred. If you don't know, I mean, you know, there's no one listening to this that doesn't know what happened. Damar Hamlin, the update today was he's showing signs of improvement. I don't know what that means. Like, I know he's still in like critical condition. I'm pulling for him. Like, I know everybody on the Bills is probably super stressed. We're gonna try and obviously be as nice as we can about the Bills when we get to them. Just for just for that reason. If that's not good enough, I don't know what is. Um, Honestly, like, we're gonna do this show. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about football in the same way we always do. But I just didn't want to. I didn't want to pretend like it wasn't a thing. Especially with the subject matter of the show. It's a violent game, and it always has been a violent game. And I don't know what we do to fix stuff like this happening because this isn't the first time. It's obviously the most shocking and the most serious, but every other story of bad injuries comes up when stuff like this happens. And I'm watching Sports Center today. It's a few years ago, another Bills player got paralyzed on the field. All these different things happen. It is a violent game, and I'm not 100% sure what we do to fix that. I'm glad at least that the NFL didn't do what I think we all thought the NFL was gonna do, which is like make them play on. And there seems to be conflicting reports, and we're not here to parse this out, but there seems to be conflicting reports on if they initially were like, you guys got 20 minutes to warm up or not,
Said it
because
was
that's I think
5.
what we
On the
all
field, they said it was 5. That's like
or yeah, whatever it
yeah.
was. And I just wouldn't put it past them, but I know that the like vice president today came out and was like, that was never a thing, like da da da. It's like, okay, sure. It's progress, I guess. The fact that they stopped the game is progress. It didn't seem like the coaches were gonna go forward with it anyway.
Mhm.
I'm glad they postponed it for the week. I'm glad that we haven't heard any bullshit about like, put the money and the scheduling like from the NFL, because that would just be like as if they couldn't prove to us anymore that they don't care about their players. But all that, I digress. It is the final power ranking show with a little bit of a dark cloud above it. But we are
I
going to
mean,
talk about football.
the Bills are business as usual, so why shouldn't we be?
Yeah, I guess so.
Just gotta make sure you keep him in your thoughts and prayers, man, and hope he pulls through.
Yeah, I'm not a praying man. But if you are someone who believes in an invisible sky demon, please ask him to make sure that this guy's going to be all right. So moving on to the God, it's such a fucking bummer though. It's just like the issue with talking about sports when something like this happens is like we use this as a form of escapism, and it's
Right.
impossible to escape when such a unfortunate reality is like sort of hanging over you. But like you said, if they're going to be business as usual and they're going to try and get on with it, we are too. But yeah, we are obviously all thinking of him and his mom and his family and everybody that was there to witness that. I feel terrible for him. But I am TK Sizzle, Dave Clark. I'm with the real BK Bob Kelly, who makes the Power Rankings and is on the show weekly. And our final guest, co-host, member of the pod for the final week of Power Rankings is Mike Marcangelo. We're glad to have you here, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
It's a good time of the year when we're about to start the fucking playoffs, man. And
That's right.
as Bobby and I have sort of been talking thematically over the past couple of weeks of like, we spent the first like 14 weeks of this NFL season being like, we'll know more next week. We'll know more next week. And then by the time we found out about these teams that we were begging to find out about, it was kind of a bummer how many teams actually suck. And that's like what it all sort of shook out to, is that most teams are terrible. And you and I, the last time we spoke, we were like, Tom Brady, he's going to figure it out, and they're going to win that division by X amount of games. Now, I mean, he's trying to make a case. He's definitely trying to make a case that they're a playoff team. He's winning games he should be winning, or at least last week he did. And we're going to talk about all of it. But I think, Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no point in doing any more cross-offs, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, who's in is who's in. Going into the last week of the season, right? I mean, The one team I just want to cross off once again before we even get into anything
Double cross.
is the fucking Baltimore Ravens.
We did cross them off. And Mike, we what we did was we said a cross off is anyone who we know isn't going to make it out of the first round of the playoffs, even if they seem to be making it in. So we kind of we zoomed out on the clarification of that because there's just a lot of teams we hate.
I can't. I mean, that checks out. Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens especially because it's like we'll talk about them for one more second, Bobby. I know that you were like, let's not bring them up, but then you brought them up. So the Baltimore Ravens, I think I don't think we see Lamar Jackson in a Baltimore uniform next year. And if I was Lamar Jackson, I would go to literally one of the 10 situations around the league that are one quarterback away from being title contenders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders are, I don't know if the Raiders are one, but the Dolphins are surely one. No, I mean, the Dolphins, I think, look perfect for Lamar. Mike, you look skeptical, Mike. You look skeptical as fuck.
Just think the one, so the Dolphins, that would be a great fit. I don't think that they're going to give up on Tua, though, because they don't have to yet. He still has one more year. And it looks like the Raiders they've decided that they're going to move on from Carr. And the one thing that Lamar has always been missing is that bona fide number one, best receiver in the league. And I can't imagine a better spot because
Devontae, but does Devontae stay also though?
Yeah. I mean, if he sat through, if he praised Derek Carr, I think he'd be very happy with.
He did. He was like, my guy is Derek Carr. Yeah.
So,
okay. I see your point. Can I float something out there?
Sure, dude. You can do whatever you want.
The New England Patriots?
No.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Because I assume that Lamar Jackson will want to make at least $1 more than Bill Belichick makes per year, and they've never done that, so they won't start now.
I mean, sure, but don't you think that their backs are a little bit more up against the wall than they have been in the history of like that coaching staff or just him in general? I mean, Bill Belichick's always had the philosophy, go get the best player you can, right? And if you can get Lamar Jackson, same goes to the Dolphins, sticking with Tua.
Best value, DK.
I think Tua is questionable though because of those concussions, man.
I know. I mean, what even is he next season?
Right. I think it's 50-50 if we ever see Tua on a football field again. I mean,
50-50? Jesus Christ, that's bleak.
I mean, he got 3 severe concussions inside 11 months. So I think Miami, bro, can you imagine?
Too severe. Severe.
It's never good. It's never good when talking about the concussions that the league official will go, we know that he's had at least 2.
At least.
What do you mean at least? Yeah, like
they said they didn't bring protocol on the third one in the Bengals game.
A half a concussion here, a fourth of a concussion.
Oh, you mean the game where he was seizing on the field? Yeah, I think he might have had a concussion.
Apparently, they didn't break concussion protocol for that one though. Like they didn't take him off, or they put him in the blue tent for like 5 seconds, which apparently cures concussions. But they put him in there and they put him back, which they did before, and everybody was like, "Oh wait, they're doing that shit again." But then they found out they didn't. The NFL was like, "No, he's fine. He was fine. He passed the test."
This past week though, or 2 weeks ago, he didn't remember the entire fourth quarter. McDaniel said he was growing him on like his tape and stuff, and Tua was acting weird, and he didn't remember.
All right. Well, in his defense, the Dolphins have had some pretty forgettable fourth quarters over the last few weeks. So he might not be the only one. No, we don't joke about concussions here. Okay, Jesus, have you not seen the Will Smith film? I think. I mean, as far as just speculating on where Lamar Jackson's going to end up, I think there's a few places he could go that would be a great fit for him because, like, he is going to make pretty much any team he walks into better. I kind of just hope he doesn't stay in Baltimore because, to me, they ruined what I thought of the Ravens organization this season. Like, I had this very firm thought, and maybe it's because of, the sort of glory days of watching football that we were all in. Like, we were all teenagers at around the same time. Bobby, I just learned, was apparently like 40 when I was a teenager, but happy birthday, Bob. Just kidding. I'm joking. We're all old. So we were all teenagers around the same time. And obviously we came up in an era where the Baltimore Ravens were a fucking defensive force to be reckoned with. The defense of the Baltimore Ravens is so bad that they counteract how good Lamar Jackson is. He doesn't have a bona fide number one wide receiver. I agree with you there. I think that his deep ball stats reflect that. But wherever he goes, he's going to make that team better. He stays in Baltimore. It's just not as exciting. So
Yeah.
sure, we'll talk about it in the offseason, but go ahead.
We made
Bob.
this comparison last week where it was like, my guy said it was like the Red Sox with Xander and with Mookie, where it was like, bro, how can you get to this point and not have A, given this dude any fucking wide receiver, and B, not locked him up? You know what I mean? Like
I mean, it was
so
almost
lifted.
a shot that he was able to walk. Like a quarterback of that level, like they're never not locked up these days. It's
Before you get to it, can I just float 2 scenarios?
Sure.
49ers,
I mean,
Tampa Bay.
Fuck. 49ers, like, good God, that team would be good. if
That'd be so stupid.
So good.
Yeah, that would be. That's like, I'm gonna do that in Madden after this. Put him in there, just fucking dominate. Yeah, that would be sick.
I think Tampa might go full rebuild.
Tampa. Mike made this point at the end of last season when Brady was retiring. Tampa can't go full rebuild. They don't have the assets to rebuild. They mortgaged the next 5 years to like put all those players around Tom Brady and like win at least one, which they did, which is great, good for them. But when he retired, it looked like they couldn't do anything for the foreseeable future because of like what they did with their draft picks and their salary cap. So I don't know. I don't. If I was Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't have the hubris to say, well, I'm going to do what Tom Brady couldn't. That would probably not be a thought process that I had, but like, who knows? I mean, these guys are very confident. Well, we unfortunately said we weren't going to talk about the Ravens, and then we did. But I am gonna save us from the rest of the turgid, shitty team conversations. We've crossed off everybody we need to. There's official playoff implications, or playoff matchups that are happening right now that we can actually talk about. I think what we should do, though, is we should talk about it in the sense of all the games are going to get played, right? Because if we sit here speculating about who's going to forfeit when and if that Bengals-Bills game even happens, then I think we're entering into a territory that, I don't know, it seems a little ghoulish, first off, to like talk about it in that context. And also, I think we're better off just saying all the games are going to get played. Let's see what it looks like, right? It's just better radio. So we're going to start off with the Jags, who are number 10 on the power rankings, who, if you go back in time and tell the DK sizzle of week 15 or 14, that the Jags are going to be the 10th power ranking seed, I would have told you were crazy. But I think what we've seen from the Jags in the second half of their season is how bad of a coach Urban Meyer is. I think in the NFL. I think it was really tough for Trevor Lawrence to come into a system like that with a coach like that for a rookie season. I don't think anybody really could have had a great season there. And I think what's emerging watching him play over the last few weeks is that dude's got elite pocket presence and awareness and crazy accuracy for a sophomore player, but also just in general. And to me, he's starting to look like a guy that might have cracked the top 10 of QBs. Like he might have cracked the top 10. He might be the 5th most untradeable quarterback right now due to his age, his contract, and how good he's starting to look. So we look at the Jags. They're probably not going to do much in the playoffs this season. What's their record? They're like 500, right?
8-9.
Yeah. So are they going to make it in? They making it in?
Yeah,
8-8. So the game this Sunday for the Titans is for the division,
and they'll beat the fucking Titans. The Titans are looking worse and worse. So
yeah,
they're going to win that division. Jesus,
I think they're 6.5 point favorites going into that game.
Yeah. I would take that.
Actually. I mean, bro, when you actually look at this team's schedule and what they've done, like as an entire picture this season, it actually is kind of impressive, man.
Yeah.
Like when you look at, they beat Dallas, they beat the Jets, they beat Baltimore, they beat the Chargers. All of those teams are potential.
They beat the Cowboys.
I said
he led with that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He's like, I know. I just wanted to say it again.
They also gave Kansas City a game and Philly a game.
Yeah.
So like this team can hang in there with anyone. And like when you look at the wild card teams and the teams like that are right on the cusp there, to me, I think Jaguars are the best team among that
Best
entire
best
group.
of the best of the lower tier. Yeah.
It's there's no doubt about it in my mind. They have the most upside week to week.
Also, the
than
types of
the
wins,
rest of the team.
the types of wins, like comeback wins, like character wins, gritted out wins, close games, led, I think, by their young quarterback. I think the only thing I would say to put a little bit of a damper on it, Mike, tell me if you disagree, is that because of his youth, the playoffs is such a different animal. Like it's like, I don't know if he's going to look the same under the brightest of lights. I'm not saying he's got Kirk Cousins syndrome or anything like that, but I think you put him like he's so far been really good at defying our expectations, where it's like your expectations are low and he comes up here. But now you're in a playoff situation. The way that people watch football, the way that people judge football, the way we're going to inevitably going to talk about it is we take no prisoners when it comes to the playoffs. The playoffs, they show everything. They wash away all the gristle. And it's going to be like, okay, well, now what I predict happening is, now we see the things he has to improve on. Not necessarily bad, but maybe some stuff he has to improve on once he comes up against a team trying to win a championship.
Yeah. So I think actually, if Urban Meyer being your head coach in the NFL could ever be a positive, I think it was for him, because all this kid has ever done is win. And I think it got to a point with him where it may have felt like that's what's going to happen. Like it's coming easy to him. And he lost more in the first half of last year than he had since Pop Warner.
Oh yeah.
So I think the fact that he was humble helps, because it feels like now that he's experienced all that losing, he doesn't want to do that ever again. And he doesn't feel like someone that's going to shrivel up. It's almost like, he's used to winning in high school, used to winning in college. He's had a bad pro career, so he doesn't know what he doesn't know in terms of the playoffs right now.
Mm-hmm.
He just knows that there's not one person that he's going to be matched up against that has a better pedigree than him. And who knows what that can do. Like I would not want to play the Jaguars in the first round. I wouldn't.
No. If you're a team looking at a potential banana skin, a potential like, holy shit, we lost the fucking Jags when we had double-digit wins. That is like the mentality surrounding a game like that is tough to go into, right? Like where it's like, all the expectations are on us, but the Jags have nothing to lose essentially at this point, right? Because no one expected anything of them.
To put into perspective too, with Lawrence, in the games that they've needed him, like to show up big and win them the game, in the last 5 weeks, he's done it. He had 321 yards against the Ravens, 368 against the Titans, 318 against the Cowboys. And then they haven't really needed him in the past 2 weeks. He's been more ETN than anything. If the load has been on this dude's back, he's performed and he showed out.
Right.
Did you see Fields'
face, neck, and chest?
Also, like
Fields this week where he's like, I felt a 300-pound guy come on my back, and he's like, whoa, pause.
Usually they have to pay extra for that.
If the playoffs started today, the Jags would play the Chargers, and they already beat them.
Yeah, but again, I mean, like I just think, when did they beat them? When was that game? Because I feel like the Chargers look like a different team right now. I feel like
it was early in the year when the Chargers were heavily favored. But that would also bring up the next question, like based on what you've seen so far, who do you believe is more likely to shrivel up in the playoffs, Herbert or Lawrence?
Herbert.
I still think
Herbert.
I still think Lawrence. I think Herbert's a better quarterback.
Herbert's shriveled. Herbert's already shriveled a few times. Like we've seen him shrivel.
Yeah, but he's got his weapons back.
He does.
They've looked like the total package the last few weeks. I don't know.
Fun fact: that was the last time the Jaguars were in the top 10. They were in the top 10 after that.
Were they?
Yeah, they're in the top 10.
Oh, because of that was the comeback win, right?
Yeah, no, they won 38-10 now.
Oh, really?
They smoked them, bro.
Yeah. I mean, the Chargers did not look good in the first half of the season, but I mean, I think you got to give them credit as opposed to give them shit. Like they turned it around.
Yeah.
But you guys hating on Herbert? Really? Is that what we're saying? He's mentally
not hating on Herbert.
He's more likely to shrivel.
I trust Lawrence more in the big one.
Lawrence gives me Shane Falco vibes.
It's the hair. It's only the hair.
It's probably the hair. He looks like he came right out of Coach Taylor's system in Friday Night Lights. All right. That's fine. I mean, listen, you guys are high up on the Jags. I love it. I love to hear it. kind of want Trevor Lawrence to be good because I thought he was going to be really good, and then I
I
wrote
hope-
him off in my head. But
I just hope they play the Ravens in the first round. That's the
that'd be
matchup
great.
I want. I
That'd be
want
great.
Jags Ravens in that first round because the Jaguars
I
are
think
gonna-
everybody, you know, to Mike's point, if you don't want the Jags, like everybody wants the Ravens right now. Everybody
Right,
wants the
yeah.
Ravens.
I can't-
I'm all right.
Jags Ravens. Jags would be underdogs, bro. That'd be.
I don't know if
the
that's possible
juiciest
though.
playoff underdog of all time.
I don't think it's possible.
You don't think so? Because can't the Bills still lose that division?
Yeah, but no, the Bills can't lose the division.
Or sorry, the Ravens can lose that division though. That can't they? 'Cause so
the
if the Ravens
so-
come in second,
the Ravens can jump the Chargers right next week if they beat the Bengals, or
no, because they're not going to be the
canceled
Bengals
game.
first of all.
Yeah, with that
Yeah.
canceled game, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fine, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
So I mean,
Still
I
would've
guess
been
my
nice.
my only worry about Lawrence and the Jaguars is like it's really tough to make a market like that work for a quarterback like that. You know, it's like what does it look like when he's out of his rookie contract and going into getting a big like payday? Is it worth it for the Jacksonville Jaguars to like? I mean, can they fill their fucking stadium even if they're good? I don't know. I mean, no offense to like the very many people that probably listen to this podcast down in the fucking bayou, but otherwise, I wish all the best for him. I really do. He's in a fucking small football market though, down in Jacksonville. So we'll see. That's to your point, Mike. Another thing he's probably not used to. You know, not having like
Right.
millions
The
of
eyes on him.
fans screaming
Yeah.
for him. It was probably a little bit of a shock to the system. So good for him for turning
Duval.
it around. Moving to the Giants. Fucking Dable's such a good coach, dude. He's such a
He's
good
so good.
coach. He's definitely the coach of the year, right?
Yeah, he has to. I mean, bro, he's winning with
Nobody? Daniel fucking Jones.
Isaiah Hodgkins, Richie James Jr. and Darius Slayton as his top wide receiver option.
Darius Slayton's pretty good.
And he is. It's Daniel Jones throwing it to him. It's not like it's like.
Dude, did you
someone
see Daniel
slaying-
Jones on the sidelines when they were like coasting to that victory this weekend? He looked like he had the smuggest fucking look on his face.
Bro,
like
he's
I've
got-
always
he's
been
got
that dude.
cojones.
I've always
Yeah,
been
he's got
that dude.
cojones.
And it's like, bro, you had a generational coach come in and make you not look like a fucking dweeb. Let's be honest. But what do you think?
Kyle Shanahan has won 9 in a row after losing his first round pick and his backup quarterback. He's coach of the year. Like that has to be it.
All right,
Good point.
all right,
And
that's fair.
the Giants, like we talked about this.
He
last
also added a top 3 in the league running back, though.
Well, he's not the GM, but it was gifted to
Well,
him.
he
yes.
got added.
sure.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
my point still
Fucking
stands.
with a bow on
It's
it.
like,
Sure.
Like, what if Yeah.
We talked about this the last time I was on. The Giants are 1-3-1 in the division. They're good based off of how we graded them last year, but I don't know. I mean, again, if they're if they're the 6th seed, that's they should on the power rankings, but I don't fear them. Maybe I'm dumb, but I
know exactly what you're saying. Like
They're the team-
I know
they're
the
team
vibe
you
you're
want
giving
in the
off.
NFC. They're the team you want in the NFC, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And like smashing the Colts isn't like the that's not anything, right? It's not
Right.
That's not like super impressive, right? So but it also, here's the thing. If everything holds as it is right now, I'm pretty sure they play the Vikings.
I know. I think of the same thing. There was nothing I would want more.
They
than
could
Daniel
beat the
Jones
Vikings.
go in there and just kick Kirk Cousins in the dick and eliminate him from the playoffs. Like this is
Fucking-
nothing a lot more.
Daniel Jones versus Kirk Cousins. Like that's
Yeah.
that's like when they used to
God.
have like the two little people fight each other before an execution in like the Middle Ages. It's like, holy shit, dude. Like who wants to see that? Although again, if you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers for the year, like, and you didn't know anything about who he actually was, and you were just looking at stats, like you'd be like, that guy's fucking elite. And he's probably got better numbers than Brady this year. So
I have a question for you. Who would you rather, if you're a division winner, right, and you had this successful season, would you rather Daniel Jones and the Giants come into your house to try and beat you, or would you want Aaron Rodgers sneaking into the playoffs by the skin of his fucking teeth?
I'll take Daniel Jones all day.
All day long.
All
right?
day.
The Giants are the number 1 team that anyone in the
Mike's
NFC
like, Aaron
sees
Rodgers,
first.
been writing him off
Aaron
since
fucking-
2019.
Aaron fucking Rodgers, because if there's one place he won't win, it's in the playoffs.
It's in the wild card round. I
point.
feel like it might be. It might be different as an underdog too. When he's favored, is different, man. Aaron Rodgers is scary as an underdog. I've been through it. It's tough.
The Lions are going to take care of him this week. Don't worry about it.
I hope so.
The Lions are so fucking
The
flawed.
NFL really fucked that, by the way. They put the Seahawks before that game, so it's possible that game.
You know what the most annoying? You know what the most annoying thing that happened this year is, specifically when doing a power ranking show, is like all these teams, like a bunch of teams, like the Jets, the Giants, the Seahawks, the Lions, kind of like a bunch of teams started off super hot that we knew weren't good. So we continued to have to talk about them. And like nobody here has any of their players on their fantasy team. You know what I mean? It's like they're not good. They're not good.
Yeah. I know way too much about the Jets offense.
Oh my God. We talked about the Jets for like 8 straight weeks. By the end of it, I wanted to fucking kill myself. And now we still talk about the Vikings because they're 12-4, right? And it makes sense, but like, oh my God, like we just know what their playoff run is going to look like. You just know it. It's like etched in stone.
I'm looking at this right now. We're going to segue that. I'm switching my 8 and 7.
Whoa.
7's going to 8, 8's going to 7.
Makes sense to me.
Right? So, I
Makes
mean,
sense to me.
right.
I'd probably put 10/9 too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If we're that high on the fucking Jags, they're probably ahead of the Giants.
You think?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
These are a fucking mess, Bobby. Clean it up.
My God. It makes
it starts to make a lot more sense as we move up. I do think you maybe hate the Eagles a little bit personally.
No, not Bobby.
Not Bobby. Likes the Cowboys, hates the Eagles. All right. Well, we're done talking about the Giants because I think as much as I would love to see them beat the Vikings, they're probably still not gonna. And like they could because the Vikings are the Vikings, but they're probably still not gonna. Like if we're being honest.
Right.
Although
they're the prime candidate for 3 points in the wild card round.
Yeah,
you know
there's one like a 28-3.
But if there's one team that would lose to the Giants, it's Kirk Cousins.
Agreed.
Whatever team he's a quarterback of.
Well, like I mean, this isn't news, but the Green Bay Packers just like romped on the fucking Vikings, right? I get it's a divisional game, but like I don't want to say the cliche of like they just put out a playbook on how to beat the Vikings. It's like they did what every other team should have been doing, which is making Kirk Cousins beat you. It was like we're stopping Dalvin Cook, right? We're gonna like double cover fucking Jefferson, and what's Kirk Cousins gonna do? Like
who's that guy with the big hat after the interview? The cornerback. He's a stud, man.
He's awesome. He hit the gritty, right? He hit the gritty on Justin Jefferson.
Gritty on Jefferson's yeah, bro. He's a stud.
Hit the gritty. I mean,
what
are we, YouTubers?
called out Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless.
Dude, did you see, by the way,
come on,
another tangent, but did you see that Shannon Sharp didn't show up to the show?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of what Skip Bayless was tweeting?
Today was awkward as shit.
I didn't see today. What happened today? I was busy as fuck all day.
It was very awkward, and Shannon called him out, and people were like being like, "Is the marriage?"
Well, it was already bubbling for
them.
them.
What I mean?
They were already like not getting along, like visibly not getting along, and not in like a fun show way, like they're actually mad at each other way. You know what they should do? They should.
That's happened to every Skip Bayless counterpart throughout his. By the end of it, dude, Stephen A. fucking hated Skip Bayless.
He's also pissed a lot of people off too, though. So it's like,
well, that's fair.
But like Skip Bayless is just like he's a reflex contrarian, you know, like he just takes the opposite point by reflex in order to like make ratings. You know what we should do? We should get Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on Discord because we have, as a podcast, have discovered it's the best conflict resolution tool you could possibly have.
It always works.
If you just text each other and like completely eliminate the nuance, everything goes super well.
It really does.
So
sarcasm is really.
Can I just say? Sorry to belabor this point and talk about this asshole for longer. And we need to, but like when you say that all you need to do is just stop Dalvin Cook and shut down Justin Jefferson and make Kirk Cousins beat you. His number 2 is Adam Thielen. His number 3 is TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, like Thielen hasn't been that great.
Fucking people would. It's because
Jefferson Hawkinson is the 2, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, like that is Kirk Cousins. When you're 2 and 3 are them, and you still can't do anything, like that's just who you are.
What about
Minnesota Vikings? Wait, the Minnesota Vikings are 12-4 and have like a minus 62 point differential this season.
Yeah, and when they're underdogs in all the games they go into.
Like, I've never seen a 12-4 team be underdog more. 2 things: never seen that, and never seen a 12-4 team be underdog to like the Lions. To you know what I mean? This past week to the Packers. Like A 12-4 team consistently is underdog to teams with a losing record.
What's I'd be curious what the salary cap situation is in Minnesota, because if Lamar goes there, it's a fucking cheat code of a team. Like,
nah, Cousins is there, man. Cousins ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Is his contract ridiculous?
Yeah, his contract. I think he's like the second highest paid quarterback in the league, isn't he? His guaranteed money is outrageous.
If I was
very guaranteed.
If I was the Minnesota Vikings, I would tell Lamar Jackson we're going to give him as much money as he wants, and then hire an assassin to murder Kirk Cousins so that they could make the best team in the NFL, like, of all time.
I mean, that seems aggressive, but you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to hire an assassin. I'm sure there isn't like a Yelp for it, but I think that's really their only recourse. It's got to be their only recourse as of right now. Because if they're really on the hook with Kirk Cousins that much money,
you'd still call it Yelp, right? I mean,
Yelp.
Because
I get it. It was a good joke. We're gonna cut it out, but it was a good joke. Kidding. So yeah, I mean, the Minnesota Vikings deserve what they get. Then is what you're telling me. If he's the second highest quarterback in the league, I feel no sympathy for them and the 0 Super Bowls they're gonna win while that contract runs itself out.
Like we said, if I'm with PMT, I don't know if you got listen. They're getting tattoos if Kirk Cousins wins the Super Bowl.
Really?
I'm with it, man. If Kirk Cousins wins the Super Bowl, I will get a Kirk Cousins tattoo at some point.
You want your first tattoo to be Kirk Cousins?
No, I'll get a tattoo before that. I'll get a first tattoo, and then I'll get a Kirk Cousins tattoo. But I'm just saying, it's not going to happen, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not. I would never sign up for that.
Never.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's an official thing.
And how
I'm pretty confident, but like, I don't know. I'm pretty confident, but I don't know. I don't know
Bobby, you being that confident makes me think it could happen like this year. So,
right? Full blown reverse.
Judging by my betting and fantasy football track record, that's not bad.
Yeah. Oh my God, poor guy. All right, well, we've come to that time, the inevitable time that always happens on the Missing the Point Power Ranking show, because they're always in there or thereabouts. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I made the point to Bobby last week.
We didn't talk about the Chargers.
Oh, did I skip the Chargers?
You skipped the Chargers.
Oh, you know what it was? We had a whole conversation by accident about the Vikings. No, we just started talking about the Vikings. That was the problem. No, let's definitely do the Chargers. I think they deserve it. I think Herbert's a completely different proposition with Keenan Allen and what's number 2 guy's name? Mike Williams. Mike Williams. With Keenan Allen,
reincarnation.
Yeah, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in there, he looks like a completely different kettle of fish. Austin Eckler is probably the least talked about amazing running back in the NFL. Like, he's top 5 easy, maybe top 3.
Why is that? Why
nobody talks about him,
bro? I don't understand. He is the most automatic touchdown inside.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
Maybe I've ever seen. Like, there's so many running backs in the NFL that you see get the ball at like the 3-4 yard line, and they just get absolutely stood up at the 2 or the 1. Austin Eckler gets in there every fucking time.
I mean,
no one talks about him.
As far as this season goes, I'd put him above Nick Chubb. I'd
put him 100%.
I probably wouldn't put him above Dalvin Cook, but I put him above DeAndre Swift.
I might put him above Cook, man. I think I put him above Cook too.
I don't know.
And Saquon.
I definitely put him above Saquon. I'd be considering the drop off, and I don't think this is his fault, but considering the drop off, I'd probably put him above Derrick Henry. I think McCaffrey is definitely above him.
Yep, he's one of the few.
But that might be the only one. I think it's Eckler's 2. I think he's RB2.
Do you think that he doesn't get the respect that he deserves because he's not a one-dimensional running back? Like, he is such a good pass catcher that people just forget that he is a running back.
True,
right?
That's true.
I thought
just everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's probably because he's injury prone. He's played
not
like every game of every year.
He's not
all at once.
His game probably resembles Tyreek Hill's more than it does Derrick Henry's. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the way he can handle dump off passes and stuff, like, he's such an outlet.
He's Danny Woodhead on steroids, bro.
I was gonna say he's a better Brian Westbrook.
Yeah. He's them combined.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. He's just got those little feet. They're always moving. They're always moving. Every time you see an Eckler highlight, I'm always like, he looks like the fucking Road Runner. Look at those legs.
He's like, what? He's 5'7", right? He's like 5'7", and he just
real tall.
He's so strong.
Fucking lightning though too.
He runs like he's Derrick Henry, but he's 7 inches shorter than him.
You know what? You know what we should start doing? We should start counting, like we'll do our own missing the point advanced analytics. It's like, how many touchdowns did you have, but you ran into the end zone untouched? And I'm almost 100% sure Austin Eckler would be number one at that. Just like still running in the end zone, like not getting hit and falling in, not jumping over the line like Nick Chubb style, like not Jamal Williams. I'm 3 yards away from the fucking end zone and I'm going to have the most touchdowns ever because of it. I think like, okay, he's about to fucking beat Barry Sanders' record. Jamal Williams is crazy. But I think Eckler, every time I see an Austin Eckler highlight, he's always just like jogging into the end zone because he's like hit two specific holes in the defense. And he's just like, here we are. Yeah. And that's going to be longevity. And that's like, if you don't take those hits, that's longevity for you right there. Adrian Peterson, I thought was going to have a 3-year career because of the amount of fucking hits he took on the sidelines, wouldn't run out of bounds. And look at him now.
Yeah. Chargers is dangerous. Chargers are.
I like him. I've been liking him.
They're the Bengals of last year. They're the team that right now.
The Bengals are the Bengals of last year. Funny enough, they did the exact same thing.
They're the team that you should go out right now and put money on because they're the best value for the Super Bowl win. I think they're like 13-1.
Wish we had a better
at this point.
49ers, like when we were high on them first.
Like in week 6 when they
we were like, they look pretty good, but
remember they were like 5-2. The power rankings was all 5-2, and then the 49ers were like number 4.
Yeah,
and they were
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
But yeah, they were the highest like bad record team, so we were high on them. I don't think I argued it either, but I mean, I don't know who do the Chargers play as of right now. What's the
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation already.
Herbert Lawrence, bro. That's the battle.
I'm still taking the Chargers. I'm sorry. I know, but Herbert just has way better players. Let's be honest.
And it's in Jacksonville, if that matters.
Is it?
Yeah, they would be the division. If Jacksonville wins, the divisional winner. And
oh my God, that division's hilarious, dude. The Chargers should have had a better season, though. Let's be honest. Their record doesn't reflect their talent level.
And they're also in the same division as Kansas City. So, I mean, they weren't going to catch them. Yeah.
I thought they were going to give them a better fight, though. I remember in the playoff or in the season prediction shows, I was like very high on Herbert, very high on the Chargers. Drafted him in the fantasy league, traded him away. So
I thought the Raiders were going to win that division. So fuck me.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen because like they still got that fucking stank on him from what's his name, the guy who John Gruden. Also, Josh McDaniels is not a good coach. He's just not a good head coach. He's the Kirk Cousins of coaching. I'll get a tattoo if he ever wins the Super Bowl again. As the head coach. I'm clarifying as the head coach.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're
good
finally
clarification. Because odds are
wins the Super Bowl, it's like
ends up back on the Patriots.
Break out the gun.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean he'll always have a home there, right? But what are they going to do about all-star offense coordinator Matt Patricia? Sorry, Mike, I shouldn't go there. We're going to talk about them Cowboys. I've come to the conclusion, Michael. I wish you were here a couple of weeks ago when I came to this conclusion. I said it to Bobby, and he just immediately put the blinders on. He just didn't want to hear it. But I'm glad you're here now. Dak, I don't think Dak's that dude, bro. I don't think he's that dude.
What really sucks is because the last time I was here, I was like, you know what? I think he's kind of turned a corner. I think he is that guy. He has like flashes of that, but it's not consistent enough for me to say.
That's exactly what my point was to Bobby. Is like consistency is elite at the quarterback level. What you are when you're elite is you're consistent, right? I mean,
he's not a top 5 quarterback.
My argument, he's not top 5. I agree with that. But my argument though is that when it comes down to nut crunching time, man, even in these losses where, you can put it on Dak for throwing that terrible interception. You absolutely can. He throws shit.
I was going to say, like, when it comes down to nut crunching time, he's just as likely to throw a fucking duck.
But in the Jaguars game, he let him right down the field. And that interception hit Noah Brown in the fucking chest and bounced into the Jaguars player.
Fair enough. I mean, his wide receiving room is fucking turgid. I agree.
Best in the league.
The fact that is gonna ring on forever. The fact that we brought in T.Y. Hilton and he is already our most reliable number 2 wide receiver, and it's not even fucking close, and we brought him in like week 14. You know what I mean? Like, I just look at it as like when it comes down to a 2-minute drive and Dak Prescott is my quarterback, I trust it more than 95% of the quarterbacks in the NFL because I know that he can lead a team. We saw it against, I think it was it Jacksonville where he led it 99? No, the week before, Houston,
Yeah, but
99 yards.
we also know, like, what we know is that he
But
can't do that in the playoffs.
Just to be clear, if you trust him more than 95% of the other quarterbacks in NFL, you think he's a top 3 NFL quarterback.
got the 90, them 85%. All right, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, whatever, Mr. fucking Math. What the fuck yourself,
Yeah, come
nerd.
on. God damn it.
I mean, Bobby, you're saying that because I think you just want to put it out into the universe so that you actually believe it. Because what history has shown us is that in that crunching time, in the final drive of a game, he will
He's
either
gonna
throw
run
a
the ball.
pick or he'll just run the ball. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, listen, so it was a funny story. I was at Dave & Buster's on my birthday, and a guy saw my Cowboys hat and was like, "Hey, can the Cowboys win the Super Bowl?" I looked right at him and went, "Same chances they have every year." And he looked at me honestly, was like, "Thank you for being honest." So no chance. And it's
You're like,
yeah,
tune into my podcast where I'm not.
it's just like, bro, it honestly is the same thing every year. And if we get if somehow a miraculous thing happens and we end up getting that 1 seed or the 2 seed and we get a couple home playoff games, I look at it completely different. But I don't see any reason why I should believe this team can actually win 3 to 4 consecutive road playoff games and make it to Super.
Okay,
Just wanna point out that-
but I have to ask, if you think that, what changes to make you not think that anymore? Are you saying if you get 1 or 2 more good wide receivers? Because you had that.
Yeah.
You had that already. Is it the
that's
coaching
true.
staff? This is
It's-
what I'm trying to say is like this is why I'm convinced that Dak isn't the dude because nothing's different. Nothing's different with him.
Yeah, they changed coaches. They
He
changed
changed
skill players.
coaches. They gave him he had
They went
years
from
where he
Garrett
had one
to
of the
McCarthy, though. I mean, that's kind of
Okay, fine. So is that
Yeah,
the problem? Then like what's he still doing there?
if you put Brian. I think if you put Brian Dabble in Dallas, it's a whole different. You know, I think that's it. Exactly.
You don't believe that, Foddy.
I don't. I'm just trying to talk.
You
myself
don't
into it.
believe
You're
that
like,
at all. That-
DK
yeah, that's
gave me
such
the out,
bullshit.
and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great, bro." This
I just want to say, like, if everything ended today, like your worst nightmare, it's Dallas versus Tampa Bay. Tom Brady gets to fuck you just one more time.
So yeah,
So-
I'm betting on Tampa in that game. Like, I'm betting on Tampa.
Tampa is or not Tampa. Tom Brady is 7-0 against us in his career, and the other alternative is Aaron Rodgers, and you guys already know
Or the Lions.
my history with Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So like,
Aaron
Yeah, but
Rodgers is
listen,
not winning this week. They're not.
it's-
Packers aren't winning.
I hope we play the Lions then. Let's win that division and play the fucking Lions.
Dude, here's the thing
But-
though. We talk about what team you want to see. Based on the past and like anybody that's ever tuned into an NFL playoff game over the last few years, like you want the Cowboys. Like you want the Cowboys because they will top up a fucking L to you. Like you do. This is the thing. Like I've been high on the Cowboys all year, and it's because you have this great luxury in the first like 11 games of the season when you're looking at it as a season, just being like, what's wrong with this team? This team's great to watch. They win a bunch of games. They've got a fucking ton of great players on defense. Like Dak's fun to watch when he's cooking. They've got a running back who is fun to watch when he gets snaps. And it's great. I'm high on him all year. And then you start to look at that doomed reality that's coming down the fucking pipeline. Like once the playoffs come around, you're like,
so funny too.
oh,
Like it's always
yeah.
it's always like week 12 or 13 where like, everyone's high on them. I think FPI had them as the number 2 likely team to win the Super Bowl. It was like Kansas City, and then Dallas was right below them. But then like you always just like looking through the fucking mirror and you see the cracks come out. It's
Yeah. Look, man, I mean, I think they remind me of the Vikings a little bit. To be honest with you, like they're starting to remind me of the Vikings just a little bit.
fuck that.
We've never had
I'm
like
done.
a Barstool Sports style like storm off on the podcast. Like
I'm done.
Move on. all right. Moving on to the Eagles. Who
Remember when
gave
the Cowboys were in like the weekly top 4? Like, hey,
Yeah.
they might win the fucking Super Bowl.
I like them, but now
No,
that like having their
no.
defense on my fantasy team doesn't matter anymore. The cold reality is sitting. I thought you said you were done. Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, who the Cowboys barely beat despite not having their starting QB. I think the Eagles are better than I thought they were for the first 10 games of the season, but I still don't think they're good enough to win a chip. Does that make sense? Like, I think I was a little hard on them. They really smacked of that 15-1 Atlanta Falcons season to me, where it was like, you're gonna get bounced out of the playoffs. Like, Jalen Hurts isn't that dude. Like, I can't. Like, he's gonna get figured out. It's like the Wildcat offense. Like, someone's gonna figure it out. Some coach is gonna find a game plan, and they're gonna figure it out. As much as last week might throw me off a little bit, I still think this take is valid. Where I think they're better than that. But I still think that there's an eternal and like kind of hard to put my finger on flaw on that team that I'm not sure what it is. So I just wouldn't put my hard-earned money on it. And funny enough, if the Cowboys played the Eagles of all teams, if the Cowboys played the Eagles in the playoffs, I would like the Cowboys in that game. Like, despite all the like, it's like the teams you don't want the Cowboys
starting
playing.
that game?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts starts of like full strength. I know where you're at, Mike. I know that like your DNA wouldn't let you, but it's like the Packers, the Cowboys don't want to see because of their history. The 49ers, terrible matchup. There's all like the Lions, like, there's just all this juju. But for some reason with the Eagles, I could see you getting past them. Obviously, you wouldn't see them till the end at this point, but I could see it happening. And I would love to see it. I would love a Cowboys Eagles NFC Championship game. That would be fucking unbelievable. So, I mean, it's a weirdly nuanced point, but I hope it makes sense to you guys in some way.
No, it does. So before Mike trashes on that entire point,
No,
like just the Cowboys part.
I'm gonna say that like even besides the Cowboys, a scenario I can picture in my head. So this past week, the Eagles were down like 7-3, and Gardner Minshew went 3-and-out again, and the entire Eagles crowd was booing their 13-2 Philadelphia
Yeah,
Eagles.
which is fucking pathetic.
And
I mean, this is the worst
absurd,
crowd,
right? No, it's
absurd.
absurd. A scenario I can picture in my head so clearly is the Philadelphia Eagles being down like 17-3 in that NFC divisional game, and that crowd just booing the shit out. Like, I can literally already picture it with Joe Buck being like, "Oh, is there trouble in Philadelphia?" Like, I can already picture it. And it's just, I see them almost close to like the Steelers, where it's like that playoff bust is so inevitable at this point to me that like I'm just waiting for it.
I mean, I'm not even 100% sure they're going to win the division at this point, right? Cowboys are still in the hunt.
Yeah, still in the hunt.
But the Eagles are like the only team in the NFC that I can say absolutely need that bye.
Yeah, they do.
Like,
Yeah,
they will not
really
make it out of the first round without it.
You're right. I mean, because it's Jalen Hurts, but also
Even
just
Lane
generally,
Johnson's out. Lane Johnson too. He's
they were dropping like
banged
fucking
up.
flies in that game, dude. They were dropping like flies out there. It's bad.
The
They
pass
have
rush
key
that's out,
injuries
too.
across the entire thing. I think you're right. I think that now I'm cheering for the Eagles to win their division because I still do want to see the Cowboys Eagles matchup of later year. And I mean, other than the 49ers, I don't see any other NFC team really having a chance to make it if both those teams are in. I still
just don't count out Tom Brady, DK. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right. Because you got to take it. And I haven't counted them out. I was on your side last time on the show.
Fucking stupid. After this season, bro, if Tom Brady gets anywhere near the fucking Super Bowl, I'm done. I'm fucking done watching.
Could you imagine?
It is so fucking. That would be the stupidest climax of this fucking season.
It's because it's like 100% possible though.
Oh, bro, it's so fucking. That team has literally been the most putrid football team to watch all fucking year.
They kind of remind me. They kind of remind me of the 07 Giants, though, Bobby. Like, you just don't want to play them in the playoffs.
I don't know if they don't have
they
don't have the kind of defensive pressure that
they don't have that swag.
They do in spurts, and all we need is for 4 games. And could you imagine if they finished 8-9 and that fucker hoists another Lombardi?
Brady would win. That Super Bowl would be 9-6.
I'm gonna be honest
if the Buccaneers go to the playoffs, they score a total of like 48. I almost had a dyslexic moment of 48 points throughout that entire playoff run. It's gonna be like 9-6.
He's like he wins every game by like a fucking Steelers Ravens scoreline. It's like
So
9-8. What is that? I feel like if Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl with that record and all this scenario does play out, I will be more than 100% convinced that I live in a simulation, and I will also be convinced that I don't even live in a good one. Like I don't even live in like a Matrix style.
Just recycling
like everybody's
plugged
in. I'm just like
point.
in some kid's shitty Madden season where he's just like winning fucking year after year with the fucking same guy that he likes. And it's like it's like, you remember the end of Men in Black where it like zooms out and zooms out and zooms out, and like
And
it's the aliens playing with the marbles. It's like at the end of my life, it'll just zoom out, and it'll just be like a fat kid in a room playing Madden, and he's just got like a Tom Brady poster on his wall. He's like, better do another season. And I'm like, oh my God, fucking kill me. I can't believe this.
No, that can't happen.
Because it reminds me of when you sim a regular season, barely make it into the playoffs, and then go, cool, I'll just play the games. So now I'll win.
I mean, they've been so terrible this year, but again, they're 4-1.
And probably the worst team to watch in football, right? Like the most unpleasant team to watch.
Even without a doubt. Well, even this past week, man. Even this past fucking week, that game was fucking over. The Panthers had won that fucking game. I think I got
the script was that the Panthers win the game. Like it was on the cue cards.
Bro.
But like from the way the whole game played out, I mean, it was like, okay, so this is it. We're finally seeing it. The Panthers, and then Tom Brady's just like,
nah. No. Yeah, bro. I got 4 separate text messages saying "fuck Tom Brady." Literally 4. It's
how are you
so
mad at
stupid?
Like how listen. I get it. Like you've at least been the fan of a team that like looks like doing some shit, flatters to deceive maybe a little bit, but looks like doing some shit every year. The Bears have been like fucking just completely out of relevancy for a long time. So for me, I get a little bit more of a neutral perspective on the NFC and like and football in general. But it's like when he won that Falcons Super Bowl, I was like, I'm done hating him. Like I'm just like I'm done hating him. Like it's great. It is greatness. Like it is greatness. There's nothing you can say at this point. Like you're just being a hipster or a hater if you're like going against Tom Brady. And it's to me that's just like not an authentic sports take anymore. It's like one of the few like in hockey. If you look up Wayne Gretzky's stats, they're like absolutely fucking nauseatingly good. Like he's the GOAT of hockey, and there's no conversation. In basketball, you can be like, well, LeBron James, well, Michael Jordan. In football, we have an undisputed GOAT. We have one now.
Yep.
We saw it happen in our lifetimes. And quite frankly, for the discourse and for the culture, that's a good thing. Because now you have a definite yardstick to measure everything else against. And you can laugh like this, saying that cunt could actually go and win a fucking Super Bowl 7-8 record.
I mean, what was it? They were down, 24-10 in the fourth, and Brady was like, you know what? What if I just throw it to Mike Evans?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike,
can you just beat that guy in a race?
Why don't you catch? Why don't you just catch this one? And Evans is like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
The commentator was like, he hasn't had a touchdown pass since week 12, and then he was just like,
here's 3
touchdown. He looked like he looked like 08 Randy Moss.
I feel like the fuck Tom Brady discourse at this point is like he shouldn't even be able to be doing this at this point. Like he just chills for 3.5. I'm convinced of this now, where he just chills for 3.5 quarters, and then he just looks at the game and is like, "Hey, I think we can win this one."
I don't know if he chills, bro. I feel like he's having a constant temper tantrum. Like I feel like he was not like this ever in New England. Like he seems to be yelling at someone at all times. Like at all times. He's yelling at someone, and I kind of like this version of it, to be honest with you. He's like the very polished, very like. The only thing that really happened was like they found that fucking MAGA hat in his locker or whatever. But everything was just so polished, so PR. And now you can cut to like lip reading him being like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like every 10 fucking seconds. It's great.
You know what's funny? So, Mike, I just thought about the road, and you're right. You can't count it out because so right now the locked in playoff matchup, if things go according to plan, is Tampa Bay playing the Cowboys. 7-0 against the Cowboys, so that's an absolute thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Then he has to go to Philly, right? Because he would have to go to Philly. He can absolutely beat Philly in the playoffs.
Especially beat up Philly, like we just talked about.
Right. And then all of a sudden you have Tom Brady in a fucking NFC Championship game. And I mean, that's fucking Tom Brady in an NFC fucking
No. He's not making it that far. He's not making it that far. No way.
It's going to be like when Tom Brady was in the Final Four with Blake Bortles, Nick Foles. I mean, he didn't win that one, but Blake Bortles.
It's going to be the Niners. If that happens, he sees the Niners in the NFC Championship.
It's going to be Brock Purdy versus Tom Brady for a fucking
and Purdy beat him already, so he'll be extra pissed about that. I mean, it could happen
for this, man. I fucking hate you.
It's in our heads now. It could happen.
I love it. It could happen.
What are the odds? What are the odds on Tampa Bay to go to Super Bowl? I feel like I have to
play to win. I'd say you're getting like plus 1,000. Right.
I have to put a bet on this now, just so if it happens, I won't be fucking.
Oh, you're gonna jinx it, bro.
Right. That's the whole point.
You're definitely gonna get good odds. That's for sure. Okay. Well, that was fun. That was the Eagles conversation, by the way. Just so everybody knows.
That feels right.
That feels right, Brian. Okay. We're gonna do our little game. Because we can again, I think, right? Yeah, no, we can't. We have 3 AFC teams again. All right, fuck it. We have the Bills, the 49ers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs run out our top 4 power rankings. The Bills, and it's unfortunate to have to talk about them in this context, but I'm not sure what they look like as a team coming back from the obviously horrific thing that happened. I feel like you have 2 possibilities. You have we're doing this for Hamlin. We're raging Cajuns. We're going out like Bills Mafia. That's a fan base that has never been more united. It's not the only tragedy to happen in that community this year. That elevates the team and nobody wants to fucking see them. Another scenario, and I think this would be a very human and understandable one, is nobody there cares about football right now. Everybody's worried about their friend. And they don't even really want to be playing, but they're almost certainly going to be made to be playing. So it's just going to be a bummer, right? Because it's like you don't want to put them in a position where they're doing something they don't want to be doing after seeing something like that. And honestly, quite frankly, I'm not really sure as a football player how anybody across the league feels about playing right now. After having seen that, it's like these are still human beings, I know a lot of times the way that the discourse plays out, you don't talk about it like that, but I'd be fucking terrified to go play football right now after seeing something like that. You always know in the back of your mind that it's a reality, but Jesus Christ, like what does the restart look like?
I heard a doctor talking about this, and they said, that they were diagnosing, obviously the young man that this happened to, but what they did say is that maybe he had an undiagnosed condition where his arrhythmia, and it occurred at the exact millisecond that he took that hit.
Right,
like that's what had to have happened,
like a lightning strike. Yeah.
So, I mean, because we've seen hits in the NFL, and that
worse ones than that
would be what we would all consider as as armchair quarterbacks is like a routine tackle. Yeah. There was nothing glaring about it.
Yeah.
And it just had, this is what I hope. I hope that it turns out that the best place this could have happened to him was on that field because he got immediate medical attention.
Yeah. I mean, by elite medical professionals, the people that they bring in to keep these very expensive athletes healthy. Everybody's ACL on those sidelines is worth, millions of dollars, right? So these are elite medical professionals. So I'm hoping that is what actually saved his life. Like you said, I mean, it looked to me, again, I'm not a fucking doctor and it is a little ghoulish to speculate, but it looked to me like when you bring out the defibrillator,
That's
like
the case scenario.
your heart is stopped. That's what happened.
Yep.
His heart was stopped.
Yep.
So they had to bring him back to life. And what I know is it's all about time, right? It's all about the amount of time that your brain doesn't have like oxygen going to it. So the quicker they get you up is the quicker you're yourself, right? Them saying that he's showing signs of improvement is obviously amazing news. And him being in critical condition is obviously, I mean, yeah, that's critical condition if I've ever fucking seen it, right? But they did react very well. Like, I think the speed at which they reacted was incredibly impressive. And I think that is probably what saves his life if he pulls through.
Had that occurred anywhere else where there were those elite medical
If that happens at a
professionals-
fucking Stop and Shop, it's a very different situation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I will say about the Bills, what they should do, because they are such
They have
a
2
wagon.
games left technically, right? Like
Yeah,
they have to finish.
But they're such a wagon, and to get their minds right, because right now that their minds, as it should not be, they're not on football, and they're worried about their guy, like you said. I was listening to a soundbite of Zach Taylor talking about, when he went over to the Bills sideline after it happened, and Sean McDermott said, "We can't play this game. I need to go to the hospital to be with Hamlin." It's like, okay, well that's what you're gonna do then.
Yeah.
So like the Bills, not to speculate, but the Bills can forfeit 2 games. They're that good. Great, Patriots get in. Who did the Patriots play in the first round? Fucking Bills.
Yeah.
So like that game's over. Like that game's over within 5 minutes.
Yeah, just based on talent, not even based on attitude. But
all of it
already
Right.
last year and earlier this year. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they just forfeit those games. They can't. They
Right.
just can't. I mean, I know it sucks, but like who gives a shit really about like who wins those games at this point after what happened? You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
You can't come out and say that. Like, you can't come out and be like, well, that's not fair. Like, we need to do it. It's like, you're going to look like such an asshole. So everything is just like, it lines up exactly for that. I think you're right. Like when you guys mentioned it yesterday in the Discord and you're like, oh, the NFL might not allow it. I'm like, what do the NFL look like if the Bills come out and say, we want to forfeit those 2 games? And the NFL goes, no, you have to play them. Like they don't want.
Well, the NFL has not canceled a game since 1935.
Okay, well, that's fine. 2023. A couple games are canceled. That's a great record. You guys almost made it 100 years. Congratulations. Here's a plaque. Like whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's weird.
But they're just such a good team when when their focus is there that they could say, you know what, we don't need these last 2. Doesn't matter who you put in front of us. If in 3
that'd be
weeks,
such a flex too.
Yeah, if in 3 weeks, Hamlin's out of the hospital, he's doing better, then like they are rallying around that.
Yeah,
but
you're
again,
right. Nobody wants to see him then.
No, you shouldn't want to see that anyway.
No, you shouldn't. But if I'm the Chiefs before this happened and before the context, if I'm the Chiefs, I didn't mind seeing them, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think you're right. All right. So I think of the top 4, would anyone, Mike, I know where Bobby is because we've talked about this, but would you say the 49ers are your favorites to go to the Super Bowl for the NFC right now?
Well, yes, they're my
Besides Tom Brady.
They're my eye test favorite.
No,
My heart's still with Tom Brady.
He's so stupid.
We should.
So let me ask you this: if the 49ers,
I honestly didn't even consider that as a fucking option until
Bobby hasn't even really spoken
brain.
since we had that conversation.
He was so
It's like
floated my
seething.
mind, bro. I just don't even. I can't see that.
Let me ask you this, Mike, honestly. 49ers play the Bucks in the NFC Championship game. All things being as they are right now, Purdy, Brady. You're sending Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Super Bowl.
I'm finding it really hard to pick against him.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Are you taking him over anybody? If he gets there? If at that point he gets there, he's in the Super Bowl. He's made it. It's Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes comes to town. Josh Allen comes to town.
They just got a winning record the week before, by the way. The week before, they would have achieved their winning record.
They got to pay. They're above 500. So when
I
those
could
3
do-
guys comes to town, who's lifting that Lombardi?
Okay, so I could talk myself to believing that Mahomes doesn't want to see Brady because he's lost him in every meaningful game.
Anyone does if he's made it. If he's gotten there, nobody wants to see him.
Is there really a scenario? Like, let's be real about this.
Hold on. The one team that I would pick without question over the Bucs in the to beat them in the Super Bowl is the Bengals. I don't think Joe Burrow. I don't think Joe Burrow fears anybody.
He doesn't fear a man on this planet.
I'm with that.
I think you're right.
You made me happy with that. You made me happy.
But I mean, Brady has owned Allen both here and in Tampa Bay. He's owned Mahomes both here and in Tampa Bay. And
plus, Burrow will have come through one of those two guys. He will have come through one of those two guys to get to Brady. So he's like, he could put it in his head like, I already beat a more talented quarterback today than Tom Brady, right? Like, I think you could say like Tom Brady at this age with what's going on right now. I think you could say like on talent, on like skill, context aside, not like, okay, he's a winner, all this stuff. I think Allen and Mahomes are above him in the rankings, right? So Burrow could say to himself, I just beat Pat Mahomes. That was the hard
part. Like that would be like twice in the last 2 years.
I just beat him. That's I've done that 3 times in a row. And that the Kansas City Chiefs are 10 times the football team that the Buccaneers are. I did the hard part. Watch this. I 100% think Joe Burrow could have that attitude. I think Pat Mahomes starts to have that attitude, and then his stupid brother or his stupid wife are like, well, Tom Brady's really good. Like, oh, shit. And it gets...
Well, Bobby, before you go, I just want to make one more argument to hopefully to bring you over to my side. The Bucs this year, in terms of personnel, are the exact same as they were last year. They just look a little bit worse, obviously. They were down 21 points against the Rams, and it came down to that last play.
Like Cooper Kupp behind him.
Yeah, we're Todd Bowles is, you know what? We're just not going to cover Cooper Kupp. It's fine. But Brady brought 3 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes of that game. Like, I don't think he's a better player right now than those quarterbacks, but I think in that scenario, he doesn't feel it.
Okay, so 2 things. First, Todd Bowles.
Fuck you, Mike.
Todd Bowles is now their head coach. So, that dude who had Cooper Kupp behind him is in charge of the entire team now. And then B, DK, do you really actually believe that if it's a 49ers Buccaneers NFC Championship game, that game's not 38-13? That defense
I think the 49ers are
fucking annihilate that fucking offense.
Just check out Tom Brady's
destroy them. Man.
Just check out Tom Brady's record in revenge games.
I don't
check it out.
I could see
it's probably
them
pretty
getting
fucking
there.
good.
I could see them getting there, but I just see, I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that's a good note to end it on. Basically, you heard it here first, folks. Tom Brady is winning. What is he on? 8 now? Would that be his 8th?
Could be 8.
Tom Brady's winning his 8th ring this year. Go Bucs. This has been Missing the Point. Good night.